Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Babbling review show with myself and Mike. Going to keep it short and sweet today because, it's just annoying. 3-0 defeat in a game where we had a lot of chances and the scoreline probably didn't reflect the performance, considering, going to Old Trafford and the lineup that we had. Let's just start with that, Mike. The lineup. Obviously, we made a couple of changes. Johnson sort of playing as the right wing in front of Kufal, who came back in as well. Again, back in the lineup alongside Zuma. We dropped out Phillips from the last game as well. So what did you make of the lineup when it was first announced? Was it something that you've maybe felt was a little bit more balanced than Thursday night against Bournemouth?
Well, the fact you're not playing 4 centre midfielders, it's going to have a bit more balance, isn't it? Especially when you have 4 midfielders that understand what they're doing. I think it worked. There was more balance. I think Jono had a really good game at right on the right side. He was good in possession, got up and down that side and helped out Sifal well. And I think he had a good game. I did suspect he would probably start at left back and then they'd move Emerson further forward. But again, playing a bit like what we did before with Aston Villa a couple of seasons back, when you put Ryan Fredericks at right midfield and played Kufal right back against Grealish. Kind of, in some ways, it reminded me of that and trying to do the same job on Rashford and having, kind of 2 defenders who can get forward and also kind of mark. I think that was probably the idea. Johnson was on to essentially to man mark Rashford and to kind of keep him out of the game. And we started quite well, to be honest. I did think we looked the better team until the inevitable. And then I think it was, in many ways, it then just seemed a bit game over.
It's always difficult, isn't it? Because, like you say, we went there with probably different intentions than what most people thought we were going to do going there. We were keeping the ball very well. I think Johnson was a massive part of that. Like you mentioned, that composure on the ball, which we just miss sometimes. And we missed at times at Old Trafford today as well, with some of the other players that we won't get into in too much detail. But I think we just lacked, we were very good in the kind of middle section of the pitch. Once we broke into the final third, that's where we kind of struggled. And, before their goal, we were playing very well. We had a couple of decent chances as well from the set pieces and some crosses. Obviously, Ward-Prowse had a free kick that I'm sure most West Ham fans were thinking maybe this might be his first goal, but from a free kick, but wasn't to be. And then, as you mentioned, the inevitable happens. A mistake from us. I think Souček got caught up with Zuma. They lost track of the ball. To be fair to Casemiro, he wins the ball well. And then, when you give Højlund the ball on the edge of the box, you can't let him turn you. You can't let him turn you inside out. And I think that's what Aged let him do. It was too easy for me defensively from Aged. I don't know what he was really doing in that situation. Kind of has to be stronger. You can't just let a player turn you like that. Good finish on his right foot, but again, a goal that could have been prevented. And from then on, you're kind of chasing the game. It makes it very difficult to come back from that when you are chasing, especially at Old Trafford. But we continued to play well. We responded really well after that goal. I think we were performing very well, as we mentioned before. Not doing too much in the final third, but in and around the middle third and winning possession of the ball, winning second balls, and controlling the game. I thought we were doing really, really well. And then you kind of go into the second half thinking, okay, we're still in it. Only 1 goal in it. Man United definitely susceptible defensively to mistakes. And that's what happened. Maguire made a mistake. Emerson pounced on it. And does he have to score for you there, Mike? Did he get caught in 2 minds and then the wind kind of took it away from his body? We've just got to take our chances better.
What annoys me is what Emerson was trying to do was trying to find the cutback. He wanted to cut back to lay it on a plate, to put it on essentially the centre spot. We have to talk about how bad Bowen was today. Like, you can't shy away from it. He was awful. His hold-up play was terrible. His movement wasn't that great. He did a couple of good, decent bits when he was on the right-hand side, but as a centre forward today, he was useless.
I think Maguire had a really good game, to be fair.
To be honest, but not difficult. It wasn't a difficult game for him. It wasn't difficult for him to have a good game today because Bowen didn't do enough.
He just doesn't look comfortable playing when he has to hold the ball up like that. He wasn't good today.
If you play against a defense like that are going to be physical, you also then need to have Paqueta, who you can then swap with, because Paqueta is much better in terms of hold up. He's much better physically. With his upper body, he's also taller, so he actually is able to hold the ball a bit more.
Or even Antonio.
The first goal came from Bowen losing out on a 50-50 with Martinez, not then really trying to then win it back. And then there was just other then defensive errors across that whole situation. But it started from that, it just, and then, Bowen did not attempt to give enough of an option to Emerson. He didn't bust the gut to get in there to allow for Emerson to slide it across the 6-yard box, or even make a dart so he could just pull it back to slightly on the angle of the penalty spot. He just kind of meandered into the box, and then Emerson was left with a choice, and his body position was all over the place. And then
I think I don't know if I agree, because Bowen did make the run, and there was 2 other players.
He made it too late, mate. He can't. He can make the run, but it's the idea that certain players hide. He hit.
Look at what Emerson had. Like, so basically, Martinez then showed Emerson the angle to shoot. He had so much space to shoot. By the time it was time to shoot, the wind kind of took it away from Emerson's shot, which is why it was so scuffed. But
his body position was all over the place because he was looking for a cutback the entire time.
He has to score that, though. He has to score that.
It's easy to say he should score it. It's at an angle. He at least should be getting the shot on target. That's what
8-10 yards out, though.
But again, we're making excuses for other players hiding and not making an option.
I don't think he was hiding, though. I don't agree with that.
He runs away from the ball. He also takes too long to run. We see it all the time with West Ham players, and that they look to make themselves available, but they put themselves in a position when they can't get the ball. And he hid in that situation. And for a player who's been on such fire, he hid from that situation. Also, we would have say probably a few weeks ago when Bowen went through when it was played over the top, he would have hit that earlier. He would have probably hit that on the edge of the area, but he just took too long. There just seemed to be a lack of confidence at the moment. Whenever we get in that final third, that we actually have the conviction in which to convert something. And we seem to struggle. And when we got on the wings, we did some good parts. We got down the wings, but then no one got forward. Again, if you're going to play someone like Souček and you're going to tell people to get in the wing, there's no point in having Souček if he's not going to bust the gut to get in the area to support Bowen. Because what is Bowen going to do at 5'9" against, Maguire, who's 6'4", and even I know Martinez isn't exactly tall. I think it's about 5'9" as well, but he's a really good physical and aggressive defender. So he kind of cancels out his height. What is Bowen going to do in that situation? Unless it's absolute pinpoint perfect, Bowen's got no chance. And that's what we saw. We got in the air, got in the wings, put us good crosses, but we weren't getting anyone in. And we played well today. However, our confidence in the final third, or our profligacy in the final third, really count against us. And I know some people will probably comment on Alvarez and Casemiro, where Casemiro's hands are like here. However, when you see it in normal time, it's not as if it's there for long. It's actually his arms here, and then it comes as Alvarez is pushing back, the arm then goes. But it's not, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to get given as a penalty, not because we're playing Man United, but because it's arguably that situation happens so much on the pitch anyway. It's half a dozen, 6 one, half dozen of the other. And had maybe Alvarez made more of it, which he didn't even kind of not simulate, but even kind of suggest that hand around the throat, I don't think they're going to look at it because
but then even with Zuma made a big deal out of what happened to him, and nothing was flagged.
Yeah, but even that is an accident. He's raised his hand.
No. Watch it back. He looks at Zuma.
I watched it back. It's not a penalty. It's not a penalty.
That is not an accident. He did not do that by accident.
Mate, we're clutching at straws if we're trying to claim.
It's not clutching at straws. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's a strong 100% a penalty. I'm saying that he looked at him and did it.
Yeah,
it wasn't
an accident. And raised his hand. But
so it wasn't an accident then. No,
I raised my hand just because it then maybe touches something. Doesn't mean that I did it on purpose. It's like, again, it's. We tried to make the most of it to get a penalty. That's why he stayed down for so long. But the contact was so minimal. It's never going to get given. So.
Yeah. I mean,
to answer Gary, we're probably neither in nor out.
We're not talking about Moyes.
To be honest, I am Moyes out, but mainly because I'm sick and tired and bored of the conversation around it. The club maybe needs a reset, and there are so many accounts that actually, rather than talking about the 11 men on the pitch or the whole entire team that includes the manager, and then give everyone accountability. It's the responsibility of either one man all the time, and it's a perpetual conversation that is so boring and so inane and beyond any kind of actual intellectual conversation or debate anymore, that it's just you're either Moyes in and you're intelligent and you're smart, or you're Moyes out, you're intelligent and you're smart, and anyone in between that conversation who wants to have a nuanced conversation is an idiot, or anyone wanting the opposite of that other conversation or that side is a moron. And it's just pathetic now. Like,
it's just resulted in point scoring, isn't it? It's
my head. Like,
we don't want to get into it. So we're not going to talk about Moyes.
I'm tired. I'm ill, and I've just been asked. It's just like the worst perfect storm for me, just to be annoyed.
Right, we're going to slight diversion back to the game. Yeah, it was a frustrating game today. We're not going to break down everything about it, but yeah, a sloppy second goal as well. Kind of unfortunate how it happened with the deflection, but again, it was preventable. Garnacho was allowed to cut inside way too easy and get the shot off, and I think it was because Emerson just before that had the chance and then tried to recover back in, and it was too easy from Emerson.
Every goal today was preventable, wasn't it? It's one of those ones that the performance was there, however, in terms of how we controlled the game and played with the ball, the performance was there. Yet we lacked any ability to create true chances. Probably Bowen's chance was the main chance that we actually created, the one that was played over the top. However,
I think Emerson had two in the second half.
Emerson when he went through, and then the other one was, again, it was slightly behind. I saw some people having to go at Emerson, but if you watch it back, the ball played.
Second one was harder. First one, I think he should have scored.
I think had he maybe halted his run a step beforehand, he probably would have been coming onto that to strike it cleanly. But he come in with such pace, he was almost in front of the ball, and he's having to crook his leg back, and it was one of those games where those fine margins weren't there. Like, were just not happening for us. And I think some players do have to look at themselves today and go, maybe I didn't give as much as others. Alvarez was imperious, I would
outstanding.
say. I think Jono had a good game, considering having to play in a position he hasn't played since a youth player.
Yeah,
he did well, and it's also interesting that he was the one then put at right back, and Soufal was taken off. So I think that maybe says the impression Johnson is making at the moment too soft.
What about for the third goal? Obviously, it came right at the end of the game. We're chasing the game. It's another situation where Phillips is given the ball where he probably doesn't want the ball because he's got someone pressing him, sprinting at him behind. Who's to blame for you in that situation, in that first sequence? Is it a bit of both there for you? Does Phillips have to do better, but Johnson shouldn't really play the pass?
It's an awkward one because, again, there are other phases in play. You could argue that it's maybe not a pass into the right position. Now, then Phillips either has to do something such as clear the ball or clear out the player with the ball, rather than just kind of taking it and taking the risk. Maybe sometimes just safety first and just clear everything out. Even if it results in a foul, just clear the deck and then turn around after and says, I don't want those type of passes,
Yeah.
But once you then take receipt of the ball or you put yourself in a position to take it, you have to take responsibility. Yeah. And if you then lose it, that's on you. You have to get that back, foul the player, or get yourself into a position where you can maybe influence what then happens. And that's not happening.
Also, aside from that moment, Phillips was really the first thing he did was get the ball, play a really nice reverse pass into the space into Alvarez. I thought that's a fantastic, great start. Other than that, he was poor. He was really, really poor. Just couldn't keep control of the ball. Just again, that word effort wasn't there when he came on, jogging around too easily. I think there were a few people that lacked effort today. I think Bowen was one of them up there. I think he wasn't good enough, and he just didn't look as interested as normal. Souček again, just
and in Bowen's defence, he's possibly not even fully fit yet. And I've gone in hard with him, but again, I think it's deserved. I'm not being over the top in criticism. And in games like that, when you see, say, the level that Alvarez plays at, you then have to question the rest of the team and say, why are you not giving as much as him? And, another player that he does well, but he also frustrates me. And it's the player that, again, is one that I wasn't too keen coming in the summer. And I've admitted that I've been wrong largely on what I said about him. It is Ward-Prowse, and that he at times plays so similar to Mark Noble. It's infuriating.
I thought he was good today, Ward-Prowse. I think sometimes he just takes too many touches.
But this is the problem.
Again, there just isn't options for him. There just isn't options.
What frustrates me is when he he often will make a simple pass. Rather, he's got such a good range of passing in. He doesn't always utilize it to what the nth degree, and it's then further, infuriating when you look at that midfield setup and you see Ward-Prowse did some really good things. That he would actually take the ball and he's constantly scanning. So when he does receive it, he can receive and turn and try and go forward.
Yeah.
So even though he does the backwards and sideways passes, he does actually attempt to move forward with it, which is Alvarez does a lot of the time. He's mostly forward. Souček, on the other hand, is just seems to have no spatial awareness. Doesn't really seem to understand that he could maybe receive the ball and to turn and then kind of play it forward. It's always sideways and backwards. And unless he's influencing the game in either box, in that middle kind of third, he becomes almost redundant, a bit of a passenger if it's not a game which is maybe a bit bitty and where he can kind of go into challenges and stuff. And that was a game that doesn't suit Souček, if you get my meaning. It does not suit him.
Big pitch, other than lots of space in midfield, just wasn't this game.
You would argue that was a game that would suit Phillips, but again, I think at the moment, unless Phillips starts a game, I don't think he's going to be good coming off the bench because he's so ring rusty. And something that we commented on countless times is he's hardly played football in 2 years. He's not going to come in and absolutely smash it because he's hardly played. And again, the hype of football that we play is so different to Man City and so different to what he did at Leeds.
Yeah.
It's almost nonsensical to expect him to hit the ground running straight away. And I think that's kind of been the expectation, is that he's just going to come in, slot into that midfield perfectly. Souček is going to get dropped and we're going to play some much better football. And I don't think that's going to happen for at least probably 3 or 4 games whilst he, gets up to speed with what the team wants and needs, as well as, just getting some match fitness. And I think what's really criminal is obviously what didn't happen in the January window. That's absolutely criminal what happened there. And by that, I mean not signing anyone of any note, bar getting a loan deal, is that we haven't addressed the fact that we have no ball carriers in our middle of our park. It
was Alvarez today, wasn't it?
The ball, possession of the ball, and actually drive with it and bring it forward. And
I just think I think that midfield is tough because we're close to having a very nice balance. I think Alvarez today was the one that took the game by the scruff of the neck. He was trying to look to drive. He was the one trying to make things happen. He played a fantastic ball to Bowen, again, who just hesitated and should have scored. And he was trying to press from the front, even till the 90th minute. He was up there pressing. So, it's tough. But, you look at the stats today. Possession was pretty much 50-50. We had 22 shots. Again, a lot of those were kind of long-range balloons into row Z, but only 3 shots on target. We had 8 corners. We didn't actually have a big chance according to statistics. So, for all our good possession and good play, and for by and large, we did control a lot of the game. We're still making mistakes defensively, which is leading to goals, and we're too easily to score against. We're not good enough in the final third because we're not creative enough. We don't have players who can drive or pick that pass out when Paqueta's not playing. And, the confidence of the team is lacking in front of goal. And Gaz says it here, confidence, a big thing. Let's take a look at some of the comments before we wrap things up anyway. But E. Davis saying Phillips not the same player he was 3 years ago. Moyes is 5 years behind. I mean, he's had 2 years of injuries and not much game time, so that's always going to be it.
Fofana is a prime example of a player that we've said is and was the closest statistically in terms of our price range that matched Declan Rice. And when you got Alvarez in there as well, then you are completely negate the need to use Souček. And that was one of the reasons why we talked about, say, Fofana over Phillips. It's too many players of the same profile in a certain position. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see improvements.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look here. Daniel saying, will we ever again try running past the defense with a ball and actually attack the goal and have a go? I mean, it's kind of what we're touching on here. We don't really have that unless Kudus is trying to make something happen, who I think sometimes needs to get his head up a bit quicker. But again, I think it's just there's probably so much emphasis from the likes of David Moyes and the coaching team to get him the ball and let him drive with it, because we don't have anyone else doing it, especially when Bowen's playing striker. He's our only carrier other than maybe Emerson and Johnson at times today. So we do struggle to kind of, break teams down or break through teams when we play the midfield of Alvarez, Souček and Ward-Prowse. And we've said it time and time again on this channel. The absence of Paqueta is very obvious. Jonathan, gents, for me, wrong setup. Made no change once we went down. Tactics or people. Our best players were out of the game. Pointless.
I agree and disagree with that.
Yeah. Well, I think we've touched on what we said in terms of controlling the game. But yeah, we definitely should have done better in the final third. George as well, lack of activity in transfer windows come back to haunt us. Absolutely. Crying out for that left wing position as well today.
Well, it mirrors what happened, a couple of seasons back.
Every season. Every season.
Yeah, it is every season.
Yep. Jonathan again saying Arsenal next. No Paqueta is good, but he's not the whole difference. Yeah, again, agree to disagree. I think Paqueta in there makes a massive difference to our team.
I think in a game like today, you would have seen Paqueta move to centre forward, and Bowen would have gone outside. I think we would have seen maybe a bit more in terms of us being able to hold and then execute some kind of counter attacks or be better in transition had we had him, because he would have given us the option to rotate Bowen out of the centre, because he was struggling, and even Antonio, I don't think it would have made a huge difference. However, he would have made a nuisance of himself that may have caused one or two problems to Man United.
Yeah, completely agree. Will, asking a question, has anyone actually thought about how and why we conceded so many goals and chances on goal? I think the first one is just, as you mentioned, we weren't good enough. We weren't strong enough on the ball, and then it's just too easy defensively.
I think if you look at the first goal, right? Ward-Prowse tries to play Casemiro rather than trying to play the ball. He's in a position where if he lunges, he may catch Casemiro, may foul him, but that's fine. Then he fouls him. He may also win the ball, and then we can clear it. But he tries to play Casemiro, who is far more aggressive, is far bigger physically, and it's just a complete and utter miscalculation. Also, I think statistically it is shown that when Ward-Prowse sits deeper and sits in our midfield and it turns into a bit of a double pivot with him and Alvarez, we are far more porous as a midfield. That's again because we lack pace, we lack physicality. And I know Souček is a physical unit, but again, you look at that first goal, he's neither here nor there. And if he's not in a position to impart or to impose himself, he doesn't have the pace in which to then catch up to a player and maybe then put in a last-ditch challenge. It's just, unless there's actually, and again, we don't connect. We don't look to press. I think we're one of the worst pressing teams, or press the less, if we're going to put it in a less negative form.
Yeah.
We press less than any team in Europe, or at least one of the least in that regard. Yeah. So again, we offer far too much space. So we allow teams, arguably, to have a picture of the pitch and then to find those passes and get players in between our lines, because we are far less likely to push up. And I think what sometimes you see is when we create our own problems. As much as I love Alvarez, as much as I comment on it, he is far more aggressive than the rest of our midfield. So he will often push out, which then people then will say, well, there's tactical anomalies or tactical indiscipline from him to press out. But again, he's trying to force the team up, trying to force the midfield to come with. And if he is the only one who goes, the disconnection in midfield, then it just makes it even more porous. And that's what we see at times. Alvarez will actively push and come out, but then the rest of the midfield doesn't close that gap, doesn't kind of notice what's happening, and then the ball can be played through. And that's part of the problem. If you're going to have an aggressive defensive midfielder like an Alvarez, you need to have other players who are willing to be aggressive and to kind of plug those gaps and get involved. And that's one of the reasons why United have been porous, because they have that in Casemiro.
Yeah.
When Casemiro steps out and there's a gap, Bruno's not got any interest in trying to get back. Maybe McTominay when he plays, but even Minor, he's still young, so he's learning, but he has pace, and so he has that ability to try and get there. But this is what we see. We have a midfield, and as much as Ward-Prowse has done very well, and I acknowledge he's done very well, in a deeper role, he's basically Mark Noble, and that was always a problem for us with Mark Noble being in there against teams who had a bit of pace and a bit of movement. Same with Souček, and if you have one player pushing out, you've all got to go. You can't be with one or nothing. You've all got to go as a unit, and that's just those disconnections and cause the gaps, which is why we concede so much. And if we don't have Areola pulling out worldies every day, which he has done, I think we are 4 goals better off than we should be in terms of the conceded column because of Areola. We should have conceded 4 more goals, which could mean difference of 3, maybe 6 points on the.
Yeah, we're currently now dropped down to 7th. Obviously, United have gone above us. They're on 38 points. We're still on 36. We've got Brighton just underneath us in 8th on 35 points. And then you've got Newcastle in 9th on 33, Wolves on 32, Chelsea on 31, Bournemouth in 27. So it's pretty tight. The gap between, us and the rest now is pretty high. I think we're 8 points off Spurs now. So, it really is going to be whether we can get in that top 7, potentially top 8, might get Europe again. But yeah, it's tough. We've obviously got Arsenal next. Tough one to take today, losing 3-0. I don't think we deserve to lose 3-0 today. I think we created enough to score in key moments of the game. I think their last goal, comes against a run of play in a stupid mistake once again from us when we're kind of pushed up high in the pitch. And they do us on the counter. Same with the second goal, really. Emerson should score, or we should do better in that situation. We find ourselves level. Less than a minute later, we're 2-0 down somehow. And the first goal, again, we're controlling the game at a point, and we've had a few decent chances. We've had a couple of set pieces that were close. We've had, a good free kick position from Ward-Prowse, but there's nothing really concrete there. And then they go and score from their first shot on goal or second shot on goal. So
could you explain a more West Ham performance or a more Football Manager performance than that right there?
Well, I think as well, most people maybe didn't think that, they didn't expect the performance that we were going to have today. I think overall, I will focus on the positives here to end. Alvarez was fantastic, really, really good in midfield. And as well, it looks like he's starting to find some form and, get some minutes as well, get up to speed. And as you mentioned there, him going at right back when Kufal came off, probably an indication for the future of what's going to happen for the starting 11 against Arsenal as well. So, yeah, tough one to take today. Obviously, we're still in it, up in the European fight. Let's just try and stay positive here. It's going to be tough. It's a very difficult and competitive league, and we're still in a solid position despite the result today. We just need to start acting on maybe performances where we should be getting something from. So, yeah, we're going to leave it there for today. Make sure to leave a like on the live stream if you enjoyed. We will be back.
Maybe not, because it wasn't the best result.
Yeah, or not. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, if you enjoyed the channel, leave us a like and subscribe to the channel as well, as that massively helps. And yeah, Mike, until the next one.
Come on, you irons.